Hi, welcome to the Calgary Herald Yoga video series. My name is Joe.
Art.
So today we're going to work on refining downward dog a little bit, and so it doesn't matter what type of yoga you practice or how old you are and what type of class you're in. Downward dog is one of those poses that will show up in almost every yoga class, and it's one of those poses that when we first start yoga can be really uncomfortable. I want to say maybe even a little bit painful, but there are ways to make yourself stronger in the pose, so just like some little modifications. So we're going to show you about 4 different ways to do downward dog and ways to just be mindful when you're in the pose so that you're getting the most benefit out of the pose. And what's nice about downward dog is that when you're in the pose, whichever variation you choose, you're stretching your entire body, which is a great thing. So Hart's going to start off in the first variation of downward dog, which we call puppy pose affectionately. So you come to your hands and knees, and Hart's going to have his knees right under his hips, so you can bring your knees a little bit closer together. And then we're going to start by just walking the hands forward, just like he did, so the arms come straight. So you're almost like in child's pose, but hips are a little bit over the knees, and he's going to lift his sit bones towards the sky as he drops his heart towards the mat. And you can have your forehead resting on the floor or your chin, either one is fine. And then you just kind of stay here for a few breaths and work on lengthening the spine, which is what the pose is about. So the fingers are spread, you're rooting the hands down and extending right out to the sit bones. Good. And then Hart will come up to his hands and knees. Good. Okay, so the next variation we're going to do is a bent knee downward facing dog. And this one is really great if your hamstrings and your low back is really tight. So maybe Hart, what I'll have you do first is show regular downward dog and maybe really accentuate the rounding of the back. So if you're tight here, then a lot of times you won't have the sit bones reaching up to the ceiling. So from here, Hart's going to bend his knees and lift his heels up high, and then he's going to aim his sit bones up towards the sky. He's going to press his hands down into the floor and away. It's an energetic action, and lengthen straight out. And then the crown of the head can be reaching towards the floor, or you can aim it between your hands, whichever one feels good. So just getting a really nice stretch through the spine, and with the bent knees, it gives you more power to lengthen. Great. Okay, so from here we're going to move to the full pose, and that's when we straighten the legs. And we're going to, yeah, that's it. So if you practice this a lot, when you first start, the heels are probably going to be lifted off the floor. That's great, actually, because then it gives you a place to work to reaching the heels towards the floor and anchoring the hands down and reaching out. Great. Okay, great, Hart. So you can come down to your hands and knees for a moment and just come to sitting. So really important when you're in downward dog. So often when people first start the pose is that the fingers are together and the hands are kind of crunched, and you come in and there's not a lot of power in your hands. So if you really spread your fingers and think about lining your wrist creases up to the edge of the mat so you can really get some strength right through the hands all the way down. Great. So once you do those 3, then you can have a little fun with your downward dog. And so the last one we're going to show you today is a three-legged dog. So first, Hart takes his time. He's got his wrist creases lined up with the edge of the mat, index fingers pointing straight ahead, and the rest of the fingers are spread out as much as you can, which is really great just to start to stretch your hands if you spend a lot of time on your computer. And then from here, we'll inhale, and as we exhale, we'll press back downward facing dog, and the thighs are rooting back, hands are pressing down and away. You can bring your big toes to touch your heart and lift your leg up towards the sky. Yeah, you just want to keep your toes pointing down to the floor so the hips are level, and lengthen out through the heel. Yep. And then exhale and take it down. Excellent. And you can just take a rest in child's pose. Good. So no matter what level you're at, it really doesn't matter with yoga. Yoga is really a practice to suit everyone. We can modify all poses so that you can find a happy place where you can grow your practice and also work with where you need to be. But the downward dog is an excellent place to start. You'll stretch your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your entire spine, your thighs, your quad, your hamstrings, your quads, your feet. So practice a little bit of downward dog every day and watch yourself improve just like Hart did, right? Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Namaste. Namaste, Hart.